After a drama-filled first leg in Guatemala City last week, the tie shifts to Monterrey, Mexico at Estadio BBVA, where Rayados take on Xelajú here in the opening round of the 2026 Concacaf Champions Cup. Happy to have you along this evening on a beautiful night in Monterrey. 66 degrees, slight breeze. Joe Malfa with you on hand for the action. Monterrey and Xelajú, as I mentioned last week, the drama in Guatemala City. It was 0-0 until the 83rd minute when Xelajú took the lead at home. The underdogs, no doubt, in this matchup. Xelajú, the side from Guatemala, playing in what is a rare appearance here in Concacaf Champions Cup in this tournament for the first time in about a decade. Monterrey, they bounced back. They scored 90+2 to tie that game late on. So it finished 1-1 on aggregate after the opening leg on a night where Monterrey was missing a few stars like that man, Anthony Marcial. They opted to rotate the lineup, that man as well. Sergio Canales took the night off. They had Club America on the weekend. They made a conscious decision to play what was perceived to be a weaker lineup, and it allowed Xelajú to control parts of that game. It led to that 1-1 tie where Rayados really needed to dig deep to find that equalizing goal in stoppage time. But a different story tonight. We'll get to the starting lineups in just a little while. It is a full-strength side for Monterrey, now at home in this second leg with the aggregate score 1-1. Just something to keep in mind as we go later in the evening. 1-1 is the only score that could send us to extra time. Anything else, and we would know who's going through at the end of 90 minutes. What's at stake here tonight between these two sides? Of course, moving on into the round of 16, where an opponent is not known yet. There are 5 teams that are pre-slotted into the round of 16 by virtue of winning a variety of tournaments to qualify them for this year's Concacaf Champions Cup. Those 5 teams were the champions of Central American Cup, Caribbean Cup, MLS Cup, Liga MX, and Leagues Cup. In the bracket, the way it's set up, Monterrey would meet the winner of the Vancouver FC Cruz Azul series, and Cruz Azul won the opening leg 3-0 there. So barring anything catastrophic for Cruz Azul, it's rather safe to say it'll either be Xelajú or Monterrey against Cruz Azul in the round of 16, but these two teams have work to do here tonight. It is the 4th meeting overall between Monterrey and Xelajú. You don't often see a lot of history between teams from Guatemala and Mexico, just the way these nations have always stacked up and the way CONCACAF competitions have always stacked up, but they do have some previous history. Of course, the 1-1 draw last week. Before then, you have to go all the way back to 2013. These two teams were paired together in the CONCACAF Champions League quarterfinal. Monterrey won the first leg commandingly 3-1, and then the second leg they tied 1-1, advancing 4-2 on aggregate. And maybe it's a good omen for Monterrey that they have Club Xelajú here once again, because in 2013, after Monterrey got past Xelajú in the quarterfinal, they went on to win the whole thing. This is just the 6th meeting against Mexican competition for Xelajú. They have not fared well overall. A win, 2 losses, and 2 draws. On the flip side, this is the 12th meeting against the Guatemalan side for Monterrey. 7 wins, a loss, and 3 draws in their 11 previous matches. Monterrey, 13 major trophies in club history, 5-time Liga MX champions, 5-time CONCACAF Champions Cup winners. They three-peated in 2011, 12, and 13. They won it again in 2019, and they last won it 5 years ago in 2021. They have such success in this competition that they've nearly won the title in 50% of their entries in this tournament. They've been in this tournament 12 times. They've won it 5 times. And last year, it was a little bit of a different story, though, for Monterrey. They beat Forge 5-0 on aggregate in the opening round, but then they were eliminated by the Vancouver Whitecaps in the round of 16. So hoping to get back to the round of 16 here tonight, and then further improving upon what was a rather disappointing 2025 for Xelajú. Making it through to the round of 16 would be a first since 2013, a rarity for a team that is not typically in this competition. They have a chance tonight to slay the beast. It's not going to be easy, and neither side are really in particularly good form right now when it comes to who might have that edge. They both have identical 2-2-1 records in domestic play. They're both coming off 1-0 losses just 4 days ago. So you've got two teams that are sort of meandering about in their domestic campaign, hoping that tonight could be a spark for them in both domestic play and, of course, an access point into the round of 16 of Concacaf Champions Cup. Players filtering out onto the field here at the picturesque Estadio BBVA that will be the host of World Cup matches just a few months from now. You see the blue and white stripes throughout the crowd. These fans demand a lot of this club. And no doubt tonight they will be demanding they find a way through to the round of 16. Of the CONCACAF anthem coming up in a moment. Lineups and kick on the way. Round 1 action, second leg between Monterrey and Xelajú. Ready to get things going and meet the starting lineups for Xelajú and Monterrey. Guatemalan side hoping to pull the upset tonight against the Mexican Giants, who we also saw in the summer having success on the world stage in the Club World Cup, advancing out of their group. Monterrey playing here against this team. Antonio Lopez, Club America is where he started his career. He played there until 2022, and now he spent the last couple of years in Guatemala with Xelajú. So look for Lopez coming in off the right. He'll operate more centrally as the night goes along to pay dividends and lead some counterattacks for Xelajú. Last week, a lot of the control went to Monterrey in terms of the possession, 70% of it, 18 shots to just 6 from Xelajú. Controlling the game, falling behind 1-0 and tying it very late on. As we are set to kick things off here in Monterrey. Rayados right to left in their trademark blue and white stripes. Xelajú left to right in the red with the blue sleeves. 1-1 after the first leg last week. A spot in the round of 16 on the line. We are underway here in the 2026 CONCACAF Champions Cup. Good to have you along from Estadio BBVA. Joe Malfa with you for the action. One thing to keep in mind just from a strategic standpoint for Xelajú, you might say, okay, come in on the road, sit back, hope for 0-0, and go to extra time. But do not forget, different from UEFA Champions League and some other competitions around the world that have done away with the away goals tiebreaker, the away goals tiebreaker still very much factors in here in Concacaf. So Xelajú cannot just sit back and hope for a 0-0 draw to go to extra time and the penalties beyond that. They must score in this game. If they do not score, Xelajú, they cannot advance. Scoring one in a 1-1 draw could lead to extra time, could lead to penalties. Scoring more, who knows? But if they do not score a goal tonight, Xelajú, there is no way for them to get through. So they cannot just sit back, and if they open up, that's when Monterrey could be at their most dangerous and find 1, 2, 3 of their own. They are known, Rayados, to avalanche in this tournament. Just ask Forge last year, who they dispatched 5-0 on aggregate in the opening round. Goal kick in the eyes of Pierre-Luc Lausier, the Canadian referee. Very experienced referee, part of the Gold Cup officiating crew last year. Dominic Torren, head coach of Monterrey, looking on, hoping his side can accomplish what it has 5 previous times, lifting the trophy in this competition. When they last won it in 2021, it was a victory that gave them access into this past summer's Club World Cup. That's something else to keep in mind with eyes toward the 2029 Club World Cup. There are now tickets once again up for grabs. Last year, Cruz Azul, winners of Champions Cup. They were the first CONCACAF team to punch that ticket into the 2029 Club World Cup. Team that wins this year also gets into the FIFA Intercontinental Cup, where we saw Pachuca make the final 2 years ago in the inaugural edition, losing to Real Madrid in the 2024 final. So keep that in the back of your mind as we go through this tournament as well. Qualification for future global tournaments at stake. Here is Lopez. As I mentioned, a lot of whatever Xelajú manages tonight in the attack will flow through him. Roberto Hernandez, the manager, looks on, knowing that if they have a puncher's chance tonight, it'll be because of Lopez. Luis Reyes. And back again for Carlos Salcedo. Has played sparingly, Salcedo, since he's joined Monterrey. He joined in January of 2025, just over a year ago. This is only his 6th appearance for the club. His injuries have played a factor. Here's Canales darting through. Canales out wide for Aguirre. To the end line, bodies in front, cut through. Nearly an opener for Đurđević. Found the space, could not find the target. 31-year-old Serbian striker. Had he left that for Iker Fimbres behind him, might have had a better look at goal, better body positioning. Already seeing a switch here for Monterrey in terms of the shape, who's lining up where based on the tactical lineup that was submitted. Luca Orejano has come over to the left side. Anthony Marcial has shifted over to the right side. Iker Fimbres playing a little bit higher up the pitch as well. To be expected tonight for Monterrey, knowing that their counterparts will likely be sitting back looking to counter. A lot more freedom for a lot more players to go forward. Xelajú qualified as the runners-up in last year's CONCACAF Central American Cup. They fell to Alajuelense in penalties in the final. Monterrey made it this year to Champions Cup by virtue of being the Apertura runners-up in Liga MX in 2024-2025. Guzman. Reyes. 34-year-old Luis Reyes gets it back. Orejano. A name familiar to fans around Concacaf as he spins his way through. Orellano, too much on it, looking for Canales. Last year, Orellano, and the year before that, in this tournament with FC Cincinnati of Major League Soccer before moving to Monterrey this offseason. Fimbres. He's really grown. Iker Fimbres debuted in the Leagues Cup in 2024. Now the 20-year-old making his 61st appearance already in just a year and a half for a club the stature of Monterrey. Marcial, Fimbres, and Reyes. Nearly 90% of the early possession going Monterrey's way. Orellano, headline, Luca Orellano taken down, free kick. Sergio Canales stands over it. He'll turn 35 years of age this weekend, Canales. Tonight making his 109th appearance for Monterrey. Swings it in, dangerous ball. Fimbres, the speed to keep it in on the opposite side. Body still forward. Waiting for a service, Fimbres hesitates, lost it. Well defended at the end line. Fimbres wins it back, still Fimbres feeding it through just beyond Marcial. Took a deflection and cleared by Jose Longo. Very dangerous game they're playing at the back right now. Xelajú. Canales mishits it. Rare mistake from Canales. All the way back again to Santiago Mele. So far we've seen San Diego FC punch a ticket through to the next round. They beat Pumas 4-2 on aggregate last week. Club America earlier this evening finished 0-0 against Olympia, holding on to a 2-1 aggregate lead, and they went through. Tigres got past Forge 4-1. So just some of the teams already going through in this opening round that lasts a couple of weeks. Round of 16 gets going the week of March 10th. That's when some of the teams that we haven't seen yet will join. Mount Pleasant of Jamaica, Alajuelense of Costa Rica, Inter Miami of Major League Soccer, Seattle Sounders of Major League Soccer as well. Teams that got that pass into the round of 16. Toluca rounds out that group of 5. Monterrey or Xelajú need not worry about those teams that received a bye to the round of 16. Team that comes through this tie likely gets Cruz Azul, who have a 3-0 aggregate lead over Vancouver FC of the Canadian Premier League. Orellano carves it, back post. Orellano too much on it for Đurđević to get there. Be interesting in the early stage of this game to see what the relationships look like. Anthony Marcial hasn't played a ton for this Rayados side since joining. Only 9 appearances back in the Apertura, 3 appearances so far now in the Clausura. His goal back in mid-January in a 5-0 rout over Mazatlan was his only goal, and his first goal still for Monterrey. Uros Đurđević is making his Champions Cup debut, just his 2nd game for Monterrey. Orellano made just 1 appearance in the Clausura. His start last week was his debut for Monterrey. So among the top 3 in that front line for Monterrey, not a whole lot of experience and nearly none playing as a trio. Perhaps some of that playing out here in the opening 10 minutes, as Monterrey have had 90% of the possession, but have failed to do anything with it. 2 shots, nothing on target. Aguirre. Canales. Anthony Marcial. Feeding it through, flag stays down, taken away by Jose Longo. And out for a goal kick. Jose Longo, the 31-year-old Guatemalan defender. Started each game so far in the Clausura for Xelajú. Over 100 appearances for this club, a career spent entirely in Guatemala. Uruguayan keeper Ruben Silva to get it back into play. His second year now for Xelajú. Fimbres flicks it on. Settled by Quiros, and all the way back for Silva. Easier said than done, but again, simply keeping a clean sheet tonight for Monterrey guarantees passageway through. 1-1 is the only score that would yield extra time. Marcial pressuring, headed all the way back to Ruben Silva. Bit of an argument from Xelajú that Marcial was offside, and sure, as it played out, ended up in the keeper's hands, which is an advantage over the offside free kick, but had to really sweat that out with Marcial coming back and the header back to the keeper. Now a free kick for Monterrey. Marcial fouled by Quiñones. So Canales stands over it again with that magic wand of a left foot. Has 21 assists in 108 appearances since joining Monterrey back in July of 2023. Wearing the captain's armband tonight, Canales. 11 caps for Spain, part of their Nations League winning team in 2023. Aguirre. All the way back for Orellano. Victor Guzman. Aguirre. And Guzman once again. It's an interesting pairing at center back for Monterrey. 23-year-old up-and-coming Victor Guzman. 32-year-old veteran Carlos Salcedo. Team of the decade Salcedo was in Concacaf. The decade of 2011 to 2020. He brings title-winning experience, Salcedo, to this tournament. He won this trophy with Tigres in 2020. Made the final with Tigres, losing to Monterrey in 2019. So his current team beat him in the final 7 years ago. Orellano. Aguirre, and it blocked. Canales, quarter of an hour gone. You're at home for Monterrey. In this small sample size of a quarter hour, already 110 passes completed by Monterrey, just 20 from Xelajú. Orellano. It's interesting, as I noted earlier, Orellano on the left side, a very strong left-footed player. Tend to like him on the right side as an inverted winger, so he has the ability to come in, shoot, cross. Keeping him on this left side for now, with Marcial playing off the right. Đurđević playing through the middle, and again, that goes back to figuring out how this trio works together. Finally all playing together here. Orellano, just his third appearance with the club. Marcial joined last year, making just his 13th appearance with the club. And Đurđević making his second appearance for the club. So combined, all in all, just 18 games in the stripes of Rayados for the trio of Orellano, Đurđević, and Marcial. Ruben Silva under pressure, lets it fly. Referee says play on, picked up by Fimbres. Fimbres looking for Orellano. Cardona. Antonio Lopez drops it back. Orlin Quiñones further back. Pressure closing from Monterrey. Deflected. Out of play. Throw for Xelajú. Really strong showing it was for Xelajú, fighting their way through Central American Cup back in the late summer into the fall, running into Alajuelense in that final. Alajuelense, we will see in this tournament in the round of 16. They had to bye into the round of 16 by virtue of winning that Central American Cup, which they have done 3 times now in all 3 instances of Central American Cup, which we'll see later again this year in the summer. Alajuelense has lifted the trophy all 3 times. Xelajú went toe-to-toe. Both legs were tied 1-1, and Xelajú ultimately lost in penalties in the second leg of that final. Anthony Marcial, 30-year-old, spent a decade of his career with Manchester United. That's what he's most known for. 90 goals in 317 games for Man United. 30 appearances, a couple of goals, 8 assists for France. Never made a World Cup squad. Made a Euro squad for France. Tough lineup to crack, to be sure, for that French side. Canales. Standing around right now for both these sides. Xelajú not giving an inch defensively. Monterrey not really doing much to try and create that space. Orellano has that type of skill set, though, and he creates it here. Now center, the header goes the wrong direction. Canales almost slipped it through for Đurđević. Monterrey right now also dealing with the loss of the guy who was their leading man at striker, Germán Beterame. Now with Inter Miami, we'll see him later in this tournament playing alongside Lionel Messi and company. But Beterame was that guy through the middle that Đurđević is asked to be now. Another free kick in a good position coming for Rayados. Growing pains understandable right now for Monterrey from what we've seen so far in domestic play and through 110 minutes of Champions Cup competition. But in terms of their talent and the makeup of this group, Monterrey, a team that if and when they start clicking into March and April could be a force to be reckoned with, both domestically and in this tournament. Pieces are there, just have to fit them all together properly. Anthony Martial, center of your picture, being one of the biggest of those pieces. Fimbres delivers. Interesting to not see Canales standing over that free kick as either option. It was Orellano or Fimbres. Here is Canales, deflected and out for a corner. With the talent he has on his left foot, as soon as he looks like he's even thinking about shooting as a team, you have to get out there defensively. And now Canales stands over this corner. Sliced to Reyes on the volley. Would have taken a lot of precision in that effort, on the service and on the effort. I mentioned this slow start and the growing pains from Monterrey, very uncharacteristic. Through 6 matches so far in 2026 between the Clausura and Champions Cup, they have a combined record of 2-2-2. And if you take away their 5-1 blowout win over last place Mazatlan, the goal differential is even in 5 matches. 5 goals scored, 5 goals allowed. Very much average so far for this Monterrey side, but now a chance to break out with Canales. Martial to his right, Đorđević to his left. He uses Martial. Anthony Martial, not enough on it to find Đorđević, but Fimbres picks it up. Fimbres right at Ruben Silva. First shot on target for Monterrey, just their 3rd shot overall. Pressure's there from Martial. Martial. Might be a chance here to break out for Xelajú. Lopez lurking. Javier Gonzalez. You can see, though, there's only one other red jersey in your picture right now. There's just nowhere to go, but turns into a throw down near the corner flag for Xelajú. Here and there in the crowd, you do see the odd red kit or two. Xelajú not considered one of the giants of Guatemala, but a team that in recent years has enjoyed some level of success. 7-time league champions in Guatemala. They won the Clausura in 23 and the Apertura in 24. Those 2 titles were their first in over a decade. To my point about not being one of the regular giants of Guatemala, but recently the success has been there. And now a corner on the way. Did a wonderful job of parlaying that 2024 success into being in this tournament right here. That 2024 Apertura qualified them for the 2025 Central American Cup, where they ended up as the runners-up, and that qualified them for Champions Cup. Quite the 3-season run now for Xelajú. First corner of the match for the visitors from Guatemala. Can they steal something off a set piece here? Remember, they must score to find a way through. Not that time. Comes back out wide for Quiros. He's offside. Again, the reason Xelajú must score It's a 0-0 tie. Doesn't do them any favors. Away goals still factor in when it comes to this tournament. I know it's gone away in other tournaments around the world, particularly, most famously, the UEFA Champions League, but it's still part of the vernacular here in Champions Cup. So that 1-1 draw on the road for Monterrey is, as of now, already enough to put them through, should this hold at 0-0. That's why the task, very simply put, for Monterrey here tonight at home, keep a clean sheet and you're going through. Whether it's 0-0 or 3-0, as long as the opponent doesn't score, you know you're going through to the round of 16. Morishano. Aguirre. Martial. Anthony Martial. Collapsed to by two defenders. Spins away from it. Feeding it through. Split the difference between Fimbres and Canales. Both were lurking. Neither received. Fimbres wins it back. Cheekily flicked on by Martial and out for a Xelajú throw. Give it away on that back pass. Stepping to it, though, defensively, Kevin Ruiz. Could have been a nightmare for Xelajú. Really struggling with this pressure of Monterrey. Foul called against Luis Reyes. Yet to see a card issued either way. Also yet to see Xelajú take a shot, being outshot 5-0 right now. Though slowly starting to see more of the ball now through the middle portion of this first half. Dangerous from Silva, the heavy touch from the keeper. Just gets it out of harm's way. Up over the top, flag stays down. Some space to work with here for Yilton Diaz. Diaz gave it away. Wins it back. In those moments where you have space in the attack, it's going to be few and far between for Xelajú. You need to be better for Yilton Diaz in making something happen there. Spent the bulk of his career in Colombia. Joined Xelajú in July of 2024. Aguirre. Turn 29 next week. Eric Aguirre, the Argentine wingback. From Argentina, plays at the senior level for Mexico. 30 minutes come and gone, still scoreless here on Estadio BBVA in Monterrey, where Rayados and Xelajú are tied 0-0, second leg. After drama last week in the first leg, finished 1-1. Xelajú scored in the 83rd minute to take a 1-0 lead at home in Guatemala City. Monterrey then tied it 90+2. Neither of the goal scorers right now on the field from that game last week. Could see them later on. Jesus Corona scored the goal for Monterrey. Joffrey Escobar scored the opening goal for Xelajú. Gonzalez. Flag stays down, looking ahead for Cárdenas. Reyes. Canales. Bending it ahead. Dordovic. Flag stays down. Uros Dordovic. Picked up by Canales on the giveaway. Options, Canales. Marcial, flag stays down. Marcial waited too long, back post. Fimbres glancing at the flag. It stays down. It's 1-0 Monterrey. Seemed as if the moment was gone. Anthony Marcial made a mess of it. Waited too long, never got the shot off. Fimbres was all alone. Let's see. Marcial is onside. Fimbres is kept onside, and it didn't matter actually on second look. Everybody stopped around him. Watch right here. It's played by the defender, it looked like. And even if it wasn't, Orlin Quiñones wearing the number 90 kept him onside by about a yard or two. This goal is going to stand, and Iker Fimbres gives Monterrey the lead. Just his third goal for the club. Pierre-Luc Lausier already confirms it. Doesn't need an extended look. He's pointing to the spot. Fimbres debuted in the Leagues Cup back in the summer of 2024. Making his 61st appearance for the club tonight. The 20-year-old gives them the lead. Here's the thing, though. While the lead is nice for Monterrey, it doesn't really change the equation. At 0-0, they were already going through. At 0-0, Xelajú already was in a situation where they must score in order to have a possible pathway through. So nothing really changes other than now Monterrey with another goal would maybe put this out of reach and salt it away. At 3-1 on aggregate and 2-0 on the night, it would end any possibility of extra time or penalties, and it would mean Xelajú would have to score 2. Given what we've seen between the first leg and so far tonight, I don't know that Xelajú can score 2 against this Monterrey side. As I alluded to earlier, the other thing to keep in mind with Monterrey is when they get going, they get going. Last year, they won the opening leg against Forge 2-0, then poured it on in the second leg 3-0. They have a knack for doing just that. Once they have the tie in hand, just expanding upon their lead in an avalanche-type fashion. You go back to 2024, same story. 2024. They opened it up 4-1 against Comunicaciones and then 3-0, adding up to a 7-1 aggregate. Following round 3-1 over Cincinnati on aggregate. Semi-final 5-2 over Inter Miami on aggregate, before they got a taste of their own medicine against Columbus Crew, losing 5-2 on aggregate in the semis. But the point still stands. This is a Monterrey side that year over year, once they start to take control, one goal quickly becomes 3, sometimes 4 and more. See if that's the case tonight. Oroshano centering, trying to find Đurđević in the air. It's been part of the initiative tonight in the attack for Monterrey. Hasn't quite worked out. Canales, Fimbres. Up by Longo, cut off by Marcial. Doing the dirty work defensively. Marcial puts in a terrific challenge, and then an awkward one comes back his way from Longo. Card is yellow. He's claiming he got the ball. He might have it physically in his hands there, but I don't know that he ever got it on the challenge. Let's see here. There's a clean win of the challenge there from Marcial. You never even touched the ball, Longo. He's maybe fortunate that that card is only yellow, coming from behind, scissoring motion. Reyes almost gave it away. Bailed out by a whistle. Carlos Salcedo got the worst of that. He's being tended to. He's had some issues, missing time with some injuries for Monterrey since they brought him in. Signed in last January of 2025. This is only his 6th appearance for the club since then. Hands go in the pockets as Roberto Hernandez searches for answers here. I haven't seen much of the ball. Xelajú, they've yet to take a shot. They are trailing 2-1 on aggregate, 1-0 on the night. Again, that goal from Monterrey doesn't really change things immediately for Xelajú. It just erases their safety net. 0-0, and now at 1-0 Monterrey, the result will be the same, which would have been Monterrey going through, even at 0-0. Xelajú had to score at some point tonight to have a chance, so nothing has changed. The shoulders shouldn't slump much because of that goal conceded, but if Monterrey net another, then it changes. Then Xelajú would need to score 2. Salcedo, all the way back for Mele. He's been a spectator tonight, Santiago Mele. A little back and forth here, at least keeps him engaged. Guzman. Canales. Canales looking for Dordovic. The header from Dordovic, saved by Silva. Right away, that pressure begins again for Monterrey. Ruiz. Up for Gonzalez. Who wins it back? Almost gave it away to Canales. Would have been free in the box, all by his lonesome. I'm going to see a change here before halftime already for Xelajú. Orlin Quiñones has gone down. Appears to be injured. He will be replaced by Joffrey Escobar. So last week's goal scorer, Joffrey Escobar, came in the 82nd minute. He enters for Xelajú. They need some more of that magic from him here tonight. Hilton Diaz brought down. Chance on the free kick now for the visitors. These are moments that you cannot squander. As a team on the road in this hostile environment, difficult place to play. The altitude in Monterrey. Against a team that has aspirations of lifting this trophy for a 6th time. Here you are, down 1-0, down 2-1 on aggregate. These moments are few and far between. Have to take advantage. Antonio Lopez tasked with the service. Lopez. Now a corner for Xelajú. Quick in-swinger once again, punched away by Mele. Final minute of this opening half. Canales. Dordovic making the run. Canales finds him. Dordovic denied. Ruben Silva down quick to his left. Another corner for Monterrey. Seemed more promising initially. Had that ball been out into space for Dordovic. Went to cut back. Two minutes tacked down at the end of this first half. Canales chipped through, the header saved by Silva, snatching it as he soars through the air, trying to spring the quick counterattack now. Blocked down by Orellano. Good look at goal from Carlos Salcedo. Closing moments of this first half. A lot of questions to be answered for Xelajú in the locker room, needing to find a goal. If they net one, a 1-1 score line would yield extra time. Aguirre. Canales with space. Close down quickly. Yilton Diaz comes away with it. 2 minutes come and gone in stoppage time. Will they be able to try and see this attack to its fruition? Diaz. Cardenas. Glance at the watch from Pierre-Luc Lozier as it comes back across midfield. He blows the whistle to end half number 1 with Monterrey up 1-0 on the Iker Fimbres goal in the 33rd minute. It doesn't really change the overall outcome. At 0-0 and at 1-0, it's still Monterrey through, but the safety net is now gone for Xelajú. They must score at least one when we return at half number 2. It's Monterrey 1, Xelajú 0 in the second leg of this round 1 matchup in the 2026 Concacaf Champions Cup. Look at the stats in this first half. They paint a pretty one-sided picture in favor of Monterrey. 8 shots to nothing, 5 shots on target to nothing, and a massive possession advantage. Just the 1 on the score sheet, though. It's Monterrey 1, Xelajú 0. A look back at the highlights from the first half of action between Monterrey and Xelajú after last week's drama in Guatemala City, a 1-1 draw with both goals coming late. What would tonight have in store with a spot in the round of 16 on the line right from the jump? Anthony Marcial proving he'd be a handful, finding Uros Đurđević, but could not find the target. There's been moments in this game where that front line of 3 for Monterrey have looked out of sync, dangerous, but out of sync and maybe to be expected. Orellano playing just his 3rd match for this club. Đurđević playing just his 2nd match for the club. Marcial playing in his 16th match for the club, but no matter. They found a way with Marcial breaking into space here, played his way from Canales, took a deflection on the way through. Fimbres was kept onside by Quiñones. And the 20-year-old Iker Fimbres, who continues to emerge for Monterrey, finds his 7th goal for the club and his 61st appearance for the club. The goal would stand after a very quick offside check. Nearly found another late in that first half. Đurđević denied by Ruben Silva. You could tell there was more initiative after that opening goal for Monterrey to go on and find a second. And then right before the break, another good opportunity for Đurđević, cutting to his right. Denied by Silva, going down to his left, parrying it out for a corner. The ensuing corner would yield another good opportunity. Carlos Salcedo, powerful header snatched by Silva, keeping it to just the 1-0, and that's how things would end after 45 minutes. Monterrey 1, Xelajú 0 in this second leg.
It's not just a game. 27 teams, one path. Strength, madness, obsession. One cup. This is football, and these are its most epic battles. This is the Concacaf Champions Cup.
This is obsession. The beautiful sickness. You tell yourself it's just a game. A thing to pass the time. But time starts to bend around it. This is football, a madness that ties strangers together and tears friends apart. And these are its most epic battles.
This broadcast is copyrighted by Concacaf for the private use of our audience. Any other use of this broadcast or any pictures, descriptions, or accounts of the game without the consent of Concacaf is strictly prohibited.
Cotiza la hora de con tan solo 2 minutos. Venden hasta en 72 horas, sin regateo, sin complicaciones. Cabal, vende tu auto como un campeón. Con caliente.mx puedes apostar en miles de tu celular o tablet. Baja la aplicación y recibe $1,000 para que sigas ganando. Caliente.mx. Sí, en serie de línea oficial de la Copa de Campeones de Concacaf 2026 establece una de dos organizaciones ambiciosas y afines que comparten un compromiso a la excelencia, ya sea en los cielos o en la cancha. La AEO.
Players have returned to the field here at Estadio BBVA. We are ready to begin half number 2 between Monterrey and Xelajú. One change either way at the break. Get you those momentarily here. On the side of Xelajú, it's Yair Jaén coming on for Juan Cardona in the midfield. On the other side, it's Alonso Aceves replacing Carlos Salcedo, who went down injured, remember, through the end of that half. You hope it's nothing serious or long-term and just precautionary for a player who's already missed so much time with Monterrey, but unable to begin half number 2. Aceves, a very capable replacement. That center back, the 24-year-old, has made 3 starts in the Clausura, made 15 starts back in the Apertura. He's been a regular center back for them, the 24-year-old. Slots right in like for like alongside Victor Guzman, and away we go in half number 2. Hilton Diaz nods it along to himself into space. Diaz. Left short of Lopez. Right back to Monterrey. That was a lot of the story in the first half. Xelajú would get into the attacking third or close to it, but then it just fully breaks down. They did not take a shot in that half. Rayados have now completed over 300 passes to just 117 for Xelajú. Control is very clearly slanted one way. Jaén waving Javier Gonzalez up the field. Here Jaén threading it through. Substitute finding Cardenas. Again, into the final third, breaking down. Xelajú just cannot connect once they get there. Launch down the left side for Jose Longo. Longo cuts it back. Escobar, the substitute, who came on late in that first half, remember. Searching ball in, comes right back to him. Escobar. Jaén and just wasted in the end by Erickson Quiros. Promising the first couple of minutes of this second half for Xelajú, finding the areas, but now they have to start finding bodies in the 18. Referee says play on. Numbers here for Xelajú, intercepted by Aceves, who came on for the injured Salcedo at halftime. Canales. Marcial. Anthony Marcial threading it through, leaving it back was Đorđević. Marcial nearly got there. That's what Monterrey wants to start seeing from that front line. Only Đorđevic's second game with the club. If he could already start forming that type of connection with Marcial, could be deadly for the opposition. On the turn, the goal scorer, Fimbres, finds Canales. Sergio Canales on his preferred left foot, weaving through, still Canales. Couldn't get it off cleanly, now reaching back for that left foot as he hobbles back into the play. Santiago Mele, that was unnecessary. It's just a goal kick in the end, but for a team that's up 1-0 and up 1 goal on aggregate, that is not what you want to see from the bench. Goalkeeper taking a chance like that. Now just sending it long, Mele. Not taking any chance that time, though. Given away to Quiros. Erickson Quiros. Yilton Diaz. Javier Gonzalez. Back for Diaz. He's lively in this second half, Yilton Diaz. Double teamed by Luis Reyes, who wins it. On the turn, Đorđević fouled. Good argument for a card, and it is given to Manuel Romero. Joins Jose Longo in the book for Xelajú. Aceves. Dangerous ball back from Ele, who just gets there in time. Monterrey need not be playing with fire in that way right now. Canales. Fimbres held on to it. Đurđević was offside. Good recognition from the young 20-year-old. Now Marcial. Canales. On that preferred left foot, has the run of Orellana on the far side. He uses it. Orellana. Options. Orellana. Bounds through. Canales still loose in front. Anthony Marcial trying to find a lane, chipping it back post, and kisses it off the woodwork. A lot to digest in that moment. Đurđević laid it off. Marcial, so all those bodies in front of him, never really saw a lane through which he could just blast one or pass it off to somebody else. Did what he could. Left it a whisker wide off the post. Hilton Diaz, overlap from Gonzalez. Just can't fine-tune it. That's the problem right now for Xelajú. Still without a shot. If you take a deeper look at some of the stats too, I'll come back to that in a moment as Đurđević races ahead, but Romero guides it out for a corner. They're just not getting into the dangerous areas, into the box. A number that's very telling right now. Monterrey's passing accuracy in the opposing half is over 80%. Xelaju's passing accuracy in the opponent's half, just barely over 50%. They're not connecting, they're not clean once they get into those dangerous areas. Canales drops in the corner. Đurđević lost it. Chance to break out now for Xelajú. Numbers there. It's a 4v2. Ahead for Lopez. Has Diaz chased down by Aceves. Lopez step over. The rush is gone, but can he salvage this? Lopez. That felt like it could have been the one for Xelajú. I wanted to play it quickly, Canales, and a wide open Orellana down that left side. Pierre-Luc Lauzier brings it back. Martial wanted it back as he had the underlap with Đurđević. Through to Canales, ball stayed in play. Martial. Anthony Martial, patient, edge of the area. Canales left it. Miscommunication there. Canales back, Aguirre has it. Heavy touch, Aguirre loses it. Given right back, Fidel Ambris. Martial. Aguirre. Back for Martial, ticking toward the hour mark. Switching Martial. Martial commits the foul. Played through by Lopez. Chested back to Mele. Ambris. Over the top for Đurđević, off his line, Silva. Did he touch it with a hand? That's the claim right now from the Monterrey side. No, off the midsection, no trouble there. Yair Hayen now past the hour mark. Xelajú still in search of a goal they desperately need, but they've yet to even register a shot. It's been a masterful defensive performance from Monterrey. Part of it has just been, at times, just ineptitude in the attack from Xelajú. Canales calling for it and receiving. Wide for Martial. Anthony Martial back for Canales. On the left foot, Canales, a lightning bolt just wide, pulled it. Slip in the back from Aceves. Found his footing before Cárdenas found the ball. Reyes looping it for Đurđević, cut off by Silva. Both these teams coming off 1-0 defeats just 4 days ago. So coming in on the same level of rest. You don't expect, as Hayen lets it rip, you don't expect fatigue to be a really advantageous factor for one side over the other. Coming in on the same 4 days rest as Yair Hayen now picks up a yellow. Both these teams turn around and play this weekend quickly. It'll be Club León at home for Monterrey. Marquense at home for Xelajú. Should Xelajú find a way through this, and these closing 25 minutes plus stoppage time, they have a very difficult stretch coming up. They'll play 7 matches in the next 22 days before their round of 16 matchup would be. Again, every third day is a very difficult stretch. They have a lot of work to do just to even get there right now. Trailing by a goal, maybe by more, as Marcial tests Ruben Silva, but an easy test to pass for the keeper. Marcial. Quiros went down. A late decision to award the free kick as well. Derrickson Quiros, the 24-year-old, has flashed at times in the midfield tonight. Started each game in the Clausura so far for Xelajú. Joined back in July after he rotated around 4 teams in 4 years in Costa Rica with Limón, Sporting, Cartagines, and Santos. Called into camps for the national team for Costa Rica, but yet to make a roster or debut. Quiros again. Lopez. Monterrey are just locking it down right now defensively. The only times Xelajú have really seemed to potentially break through in moments like this, where there's been a giveaway at the back. Lapses in concentration, not the friend of Monterrey right now. It feels like that's the only way Xelajú is going to find something. A yellow card here to Cárdenas and a free kick for Monterrey. Final 20 minutes here at Estadio BBVA in Monterrey. 1-0 lead for the home side, 2-1 on aggregate. Spot in the round of 16 awaits, likely against Cruz Azul. So a chance right away for either of these sides to get after last year's champions in this tournament, Cruz Azul. Advantage played here for Canales. Never really materialized, but Pierre-Luc Lausier never brought it back for the free kick. Two players down now for Xelajú. Derrickson Quiros appeared to be nudged in the back in one of those encounters at midfield in the build-up here. Also down now is Cardenas, helped to his feet. He was the one fouled. Yair high end. Cutting in field on Aguirre. Faris said nothing wrong with that one. Play on. Hilton Diaz. Jose Longo. Again, it's Diaz. Quick give and go. This is incisive, but poked away at the last from Victor Guzman. Offside, the call against Xelajú, ending whatever threat might have been left. And now a change for Monterrey. Sergio Canales will depart. From one Spaniard to another, Oliver Torres will replace. Former La Liga champion with Atletico Madrid, two-time Europa League winner with Sevilla. Joined in July of 2024 here at Monterrey, making his 71st appearance for the club, Torres. This is the juncture of the match last week where things really started to pick up. Ultimately, Xelajú scored the goal in the 83rd minute before Monterrey tied it 90+2. That late tying goal, crucial for Monterrey. A very different story without it. Fimbres. Story tonight belongs to him. He has that goal back in the first half. Officially went down in the 33rd minute. Just a lapse defensively from Xelajú in that moment. Dominic Torrent, the head coach of Monterrey, getting in on it as well. Might have caught a glimpse of it bottom of your screen as the ball went out of play. He flicked it about 5 yards further away from the player who was set to take the throw in for Xelajú. This would be remarkable if Monterrey could complete this game in this fashion. They've not allowed a shot on target. They've allowed just one shot, but it was blocked and taken from outside the box. So through 75 minutes, Xelajú have only attempted one shot outside the box, and it was blocked on a night where they must score at least one to have any chance at going through. Outstanding defending from Monterrey. Plenty of self-inflicted wounds from Xelajú. Will this continue to be the story, or can they find a way, Xelajú, or will Monterrey slam the door shut? Slicing it was Orellano, who switched over to the right side now. He'll float a bit more centrally with Canales now out of this one. Oliver Torres will man the left side. History between these clubs going back to 2013, now 13 years ago. They were matched up in the quarterfinal of this tournament. Monterrey won it 4-2 on aggregate. And it was a good omen for them, maybe, to see Xelajú on their slate when the draw came out for this tournament, because 13 years ago, after Monterrey ousted Xelajú in the quarters, they went on to win the title. One of the 5 they've won as a club in this tournament. Jaén, Lopez. Switching for Hilton Diaz, long run to get there, and he won't. Flicked on, Marcial racing away. Anthony Marcial with an eye for goal. Marcial saved by Silva. Still haven't been able to find that moment to fully slam the door shut, Monterrey. 14 shots, 6 on target. And the lone goal came on a broken down play, remember. Wasn't anything to write home about. That'll go on a season-ending highlight reel of sorts. Gonzalez. Lopez wanted the give and go. Balloons it over the top. Still Gonzalez. The offside flag will end whatever threat was there for Xelajú once again. Back to that moment for Marcial, and his head up the whole way. Kick save with the left foot going out from Ruben Silva. That seemed earmarked for the far post had it not been blocked. Đurđević calls his own number. Đurđević saved by Silva. Marcial floats it. Back stick. Torres denied. Derrickson Quiros comes across at the last moment. Now for a Monterrey corner. Actually, a late offside flag. You saw there Marcial in an offside position when that shot was taken. Change is coming from Monterrey as they look to slam this door shut. Uros Đurđević will be lifted, as will Luca Orellano. Lucas Ocampos will enter for Orellano. And Jesus Corona for Đurđević. Remember, Corona scored last week in stoppage time to make it 1-1. All the changes so far for Monterrey, at least the tactical changes, have been attack-minded, getting fresh legs up top to find that second goal and put this to bed. They made one defensive change at halftime. That was Alonso Aceves coming in for the injured Carlos Salcedo. Again, it's Marcial. Overlap coming, but he goes inside instead with Fimbres. Back and forth they go. Fimbres with some space. Ocampos. Andre Marcial cutting in. Marcial! He's been threatening tonight. Still, though, just one goal for Marcial in his time with Monterrey since joining last season. Hasn't had a massive sample size. This is only his 13th game for the club, but a player of his stature and his success, places like Manchester United for a decade, kind of expected more of him to this point. But he's one of those players that once he finds one, the rest will follow. Torres. Jesus Corona. Back to Torres, back to Corona. And a penalty. A little nudge in the back as he was taking the shot. Penalty given by Pierre-Luc Lozier. Oh, right there, no doubt. Enough to throw Corona off kilter. Seems a little conversation over who's taking this between Marcial and Lucas Ocampos. Seems like it will be Ocampos. "31-year-old Argentine winger. He's only played 2 games so far in the Clausura as he's gotten back up to full health. 5 goals and 6 assists last season. 7 goals for Monterrey since joining. Ocampos! That should do it. Monterrey on the way to the round of 16 in the 2026 Concacaf Champions Cup. Shares a word with the goalkeeper in the aftermath. Eyes up the whole way. Got a great look at it here. Went down the middle. That was his intent, at least. He did leave it a little bit to the right of down the middle and gave Ruben Silva a chance to stick that hand back. And now after that goal, bevy of change is coming. Emptying out the benches. A little bit of a surrender here in a way from Xelajú. Harim Quesada comes on. Would have to score 2 goals now in 6 minutes plus stoppage. Raul Calderon on as well. And look, in this sport, we've seen crazier things happen than 2 goals being scored, and you factor in stoppage time, maybe 2 goals in the span of about 10 minutes. But given the gulf between these 2 teams in terms of talent and stature, and a smaller Guatemalan side that really worked hard just to be here versus a Mexican giant, five-time winner of this tournament in Monterrey. You factor in that Xelajú have taken just one shot in this game and have not threatened. And what's realistic versus what is possible, two very different things right now. Perhaps the reasons for these changes from both sides. And Fimbres gets a firm handshake from his manager as Omar Galvez takes his spot. Opening goal tonight belonged to Fimbres. Really set the tone late in that first half. Both these teams, remember, do have games in just a couple days' time. Very important game on the weekend for Xelajú. So getting 3 players off and 3 new players on. So maybe a mind toward this weekend as well. Now the stage is set for quite the showdown in the round of 16. Back to that in a moment. Poked ahead here, Ocampos. Flag stays down. Ocampos around the keeper. He's taken down. A lot to think about here. Well, no, Pierre-Luc Lozier doesn't even get to that point. Offside was the call, as expected. So he doesn't even have to get into the particulars of the situation with Ocampos and Silva, though he did book Ocampos for a dive. Let's see. A good refereeing. No touch there. Did not appear so, at least. As I was starting to mention before that, stage set for a round of 16 showdown between 2 of the Mexican giants. Cruz Azul will host Vancouver FC tomorrow night. They have a 3-0 aggregate lead, Cruz Azul, after the opening leg. What we know about those 2 teams, it would be nothing short of a miracle if that ended up in anything other than a Cruz Azul trip through to the round of 16. So it'd be Monterrey and Cruz Azul in that round of 16. 2 of the giants of Mexico that have had such success in this tournament. Cruz Azul, the reigning champions. Hold on a minute here. Xelajú, maybe an opportunity for Yilton Diaz. Feeds it in front. Ball still loose, trickling out over the end line for a goal kick. Whenever there's been an opportunity on the night for Xelajú, Yilton Diaz has seemingly been involved. Tried to feed Escobar here. Marcial, well defended by Raul Calderon. '90th minute out of Estadio BBVA. Though the result was maybe in question for quite a while, it never really felt that way up until that second Monterrey goal went in just a few moments ago. The whole story of the night has been just Xelajú needing 1 goal. At 0-0, A Xelajú goal would have had them in position to go through. At 1-0 Monterrey, a Xelajú goal would have meant extra time at 1-1. It was always right there for them. They were always just a goal away, but never even threatened for a moment. One shot, nothing on target, and that one shot was taken from outside the box and blocked. Never even had a chance. It has been locked down tonight from Monterrey defensively. Part of that defending has just come from the front. This dogged pressure has just been unrelenting. 7 minutes of stoppage time, though, tacked on. Possession is now a pretty modest 62-38. It was 76-24 at halftime in favor of Monterrey. But again, a lot of it has been just by design. They've ceded some more possession to Xelajú. Most of it has come in Xelaju's own end of the field, just trying to beat the Monterrey press. Working the way through, set on target for the first time tonight. Karim Quesada registering the first official shot on goal for Xelajú, but Santiago Mele is there to make the save. Remember, they have to score twice now, Xelajú. That second Monterrey goal also ensured that we will be done after 90. Cannot have extra time anymore. 1-1 would have been the only scoreline that could have produced that. Quick give and go. Quesada trying to get to the other shoulder of Guzman. Good positioning defensively from Guzman. Jesus Corona fouled. And the yellow shown on top of it. Substitute Widvin Tevalan into the book. Knew what he was doing. It'll be tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern time. The final matchup of the week here in this pass-through of first-round games. Cruz Azul hosting Vancouver FC. And then next week, we get into the final stretch of first-round games. Sporting San Miguelito of Panama will take on the LA Galaxy of Major League Soccer. Real España of Honduras take on LAFC of MLS. Atletico Ottawa of the Canadian Premier League take on Nashville SC of Major League Soccer. And the last two series we have to get through next week, last three series that we have to get through starting next week. Defense Force of Trinidad and Tobago against the Philadelphia Union of MLS. O&M of Dominican Republic against FC Cincinnati, and Cartagines of Costa Rica against the Vancouver Whitecaps, last year's runners-up. Those are the last of the series to get underway next week. Round of 16 doesn't begin until the week of March 10th. So Monterrey will have almost a month now until they have to take the field again in Concacaf Champions Cup. And when they do so, it'll very, very likely be against Cruz Azul, which don't need right now is picking up any silly red card late on. Teammates of Victor Guzman trying to help him avoid that, steering him away from the danger, calming him down. From the free kick, one last effort here perhaps for Xelajú. Goes by the wayside. Was offside anyway. Mele puts it back into play. As Roberto Hernandez looks on, knowing this is about to come to an end for Xelajú. Magical run of the Central American Cup final last year. Their run in Champions Cup cut short in round 1 against Giants Monterrey of Liga MX. Chested back toward goal. Martial was there. Silva has it. 7 minutes come and gone. Final whistle goes. Monterrey takes it 2-0 on the evening, 3-1 on aggregate, and they are on their way through to the round of 16 in the 2026 Concacaf Champions Cup.
Damas y caballeros, el marcador final del partido de Xelajú de la Copa de Campeones de Concacaf es Xelajú 0, Club de Fútbol Monterrey 2. Y la fiesta continúa en el tercer tiempo. Agradecemos a nuestros patrocinadores oficiales por hacer esto posible. Aramco, Caliente, Hilton, Kavak, Lowe's, Michelob Ultra, Macron, Molten, PIF, Rihad Air, Scotiabank y Visit Saudi Arabia. Gracias patrocinadores, y desde Concacaf apreciamos su asistencia al partido de esta noche de la Copa de Campeones de Concacaf y les deseamos un buen retorno a sus hogares. Gracias.
Iker, eres el jugador del partido, felicitaciones, abriste el marcador para los Rayados. Cuéntame un poquito de cómo fue ese gol.
No, pues una pelota que cae después de un disparo de mi compañero, pero pues muy feliz por la victoria.
Y ahora, con la mirada, ¿hacia dónde?
No, pues ya el siguiente partido de liga, que es el sábado, tenemos la mirada ahí y a lo que sigue.
¿Cuál fue la diferencia entre el partido de hoy de los Rayados y el partido que hicieron en Guatemala para clasificar?
No, pues primero que nada que estamos en casa con nuestra gente que siempre nos apoya y pues siempre salimos con esas ganas por el otro equipo y pues hoy gracias a Dios se dieron las cosas. No, a ti, gracias.
Hola Javier, ¿cómo fue el partido de hoy? ¿Cómo se sintieron? ¿El resultado no fue el adecuado para ustedes? ¿Qué pasó?
Bueno, sí, lastimosamente no fue el resultado que queríamos. Un error en salida creo que nos perjudica el gol de ellos, pero contentos la verdad. Es una bonita experiencia. La verdad que estamos jugando contra rivales muy superiores a nosotros, pero creo que presentamos buena cara durante la eliminación. Allá en casa, con el resultado que nos meten ellos el gol en el último minuto, viniendo acá ganando, creo que iba a ser un poco diferente, pero bueno, nos vamos contentos, un poco disgustos por el resultado, pero contentos porque el equipo hizo una buena actuación.
¿Dónde sientes que se les escapó la clasificación?
A este tipo de rivales no le puedes dar ninguna oportunidad porque te concretan. Le dimos una oportunidad ya en el último minuto, hoy en el primer gol y el segundo gol que es un penal, pero como te digo, más concentrados en esos tipos de momentos, creo que el equipo hubiera dado un poco más de batalla. Gracias a ustedes.
Sometimes in this game, the numbers don't lie, and it's all you need to look at to really see how we got to where we did tonight. 18 shots to 3, 9 on target to 1, a heavy possession advantage. Monterrey winning it 2-0, and never really at any point were threatened by Xelajú. A 2-0 victory that puts them through to the round of 16 in the 2026 Concacaf Champions Cup. Drama built coming into the evening based on how last week's first leg ended between Rayados and Xelajú. And it was Monterrey tonight who never really had any doubts about going through to the round of 16. The goal finally came in the first half in the 33rd minute. Iker Fimbres cleaned up the loose ball in front, was kept onside by number 90 on the far side, Quiñones. He was the first one to raise his hand and try to plead for the offside, but he was the one who actually kept Fimbres on into an open net. He taps it, and the 20-year-old continues to impress for Monterrey. His 7th goal for the club in his 61st appearance. You thought maybe the floodgates would open from there for Monterrey. A couple of really big opportunities they enjoyed late then in that first half, but goalkeeper Ruben Silva made save after save. Then into the second half we go. Another golden opportunity here for Anthony Marcial. Chips it far post, off of the post. A lot of opportunities like that tonight where Monterrey nearly found that second goal and put it out of reach, but not quite. Here again for Marcial, head up the whole way, spots Silva, sees him going down to his right. Silva, the goalkeeper, tries to shoot it back across, sticks out the left leg, makes the save. So again, Marcial denied. Another save for Silva. Offside flag came up before this even got to Torres, but it didn't matter because on the backside, Derrickson Quiros, the midfielder, came sliding through to keep it out of harm's way. This is where they finally found that second goal, though. Substitute came on, Jesus Corona. Another substitute who came on with him, Lucas Ocampos, converts the penalty, and that would seal the deal. Monterrey 2, Xelajú nothing. Monterrey through to the round of 16. That will do it for us here from Estadio BBVA in Monterrey, Mexico, where Monterrey take it 2-0 over Xelajú. Come back tomorrow evening when Cruz Azul takes on Vancouver FC to wrap up this week of action in the 2026 Concacaf Champions Cup. Good night, everybody.